returning guest, fucking elite athlete, best-selling
Not
author,
at the moment, dude.
fucking podcast extraordinaire, Rich Roll. Welcome to my father's apartment.
So good to be here in the rent-controlled domicile. I get to see, up close and in person, the lived-in experience of the David Mannheim
life.
Extended universe.
What have your observations been thus far?
It's good. I mean, I've seen the set. I didn't know that it was. I guess I didn't, do the math and put it in your father's apartment. But it's pretty good. It's a one-man show. We're, right off 8th Avenue here. I'm happy to be in New York City and to spend time with you. What do you want me to say?
Dude, you were in fucking Japan yesterday?
Like 2 days ago, yeah.
And what was happening?
I was in Tokyo for 12 days for the track and field world championships, which were going on there. I'd never been to Japan before. But I went in conjunction with On Running, the running shoe brand, which is our biggest brand partner. So I do a lot of stuff with that brand, and they wanted me there to, kind of be an ambassador of the brand. And they had this, when you go to whether it's a world championships or the Olympics, these big brands like On or Nike or Adidas, Adidas. That's what you say when you're inside, bro.
Really?
They get these houses that are like brand houses, and they do panels, and they're sort of open to the public, and they want people to come in, and there's a whole kind of brand story that they want to be telling. And so I'm in service of that.
I want to circle back to Adidas. Yeah. How does that happen?
This is what people in track and field call it. I think that's the actual, intended pronunciation of
the
Adidas.
German pronunciation.
Yeah.
So American track and field folk, when they're amongst themselves, say Adidas.
That's my understanding.
And now you say
it. I've heard it. Yeah.
Do you say literally now too?
No, I don't.
You don't say literally.
No.
Literally the Adidas brand.
It does sound douchey though, doesn't it?
It's
Adidas.
I mean, it sounds like you know something that I don't, which is not a surprising thing.
I'm sure I do know things that you don't, and you know things that I don't, Dave.
The last time I saw you, you dropped some fucking knowledge on my head, which shocked me. And I want to start there. First of all, you're very generous to have attended our Dopey Wood celebration. It was a glorious shit show, a little shittier than I would have liked it to be, just to be fully transparent. But your story, I mean, it was too long. It was too many guests. You and Bob was very interesting to me. And it felt like the kernel of Dopey was there. Like the real thing was there. And the story that you told out of nowhere kind of rocked my world.
I don't remember what story I told. You're going to have to remind me.
Your journey to Mexico, your psychedelic experience.
Wow. Yeah.
I need to know
you
everything.
Tell that? Yeah, I guess where to start with that. I mean, first of all, listen, everybody's talking about psychedelics. And if you're like me and in recovery and you start to kind of...
Wait, hold up for 1 second. I want to make sure the video is running. I could not miss a moment of this.
Yeah, no. So if you're like me and you're in recovery, the prospect or the idea that this very powerful mind-altering substance holds the answers to all of your questions, that's a very intoxicating idea in and of itself, and dangerous, right? Scares me because I don't want to invest in that type of idea because that's going to lead me out the door. And so while the culture is sort of acclimating to this idea of psychedelics as a therapeutic means of addressing things like PTSD and depression, et cetera. Certainly there's all kinds of evidence coming out of places like Johns Hopkins University that establishes that this is legitimate, right? Michael Pollan writes his book, and there's the documentary on Netflix about it. And it seemed to me like every other guest that would come on my podcast for a good multi-year stretch it would come up, and I wasn't booking them to hear about their psychedelic journey. I was there, they were there for something else. And then suddenly they'd be like, well, and then I did this thing and like it changed my life. And some of these people were in recovery, some of them weren't. And after a while, you're just kind of like, huh. And basically I'm like, great, I'm not going to take anything away from your experience, just not for me. It's like, that's just off the table. But it happened so much that I began to change my mind about it and got curious about it, which was scary, right? Like, what does that mean? Like, is this kind of relapse thinking? This is my alcoholic brain, right? So, I would check that with other people in the program, but it just became clear to me at a certain point that as somebody who's been in recovery for a very long time, and who has had, kind of an up and down journey with sobriety, that I still have all of these mental health issues that are unresolved, many of which have to do with family of origin stuff and like early childhood experiences, et cetera. And I've been in therapy forever, and I was just feeling stuck. And it occurred to me that perhaps this might be helpful in getting me unstuck. And so, I thought about it for a long time, maybe like 2 years or whatnot. And an opportunity just presented itself relatively spontaneously when I went to Mexico City. I was there to do this project for On, the same brand, where they wanted me to like do a faux podcast with Elmo from Sesame Street. And because Elmo is in SAG, apparently his day rate was too high to film this in the United States. So they took the entire production to Mexico City to save money. But the production recreated my entire podcast studio on a soundstage in Mexico City. And the whole Elmo team was there. And I spent an entire day like filming this. It got reduced down to like a 60-second, essentially like a commercial. But that was an amazing experience. And the next day I went to go see this medical doctor who specializes in pharmaceutical therapies, who happened to be a friend of mine, somebody who I trust implicitly, who told me like, you're in good hands with her. She's an amazing individual and she'll take care of you. And I had my wife's buy-in. Obviously my wife was with me and I wasn't going to do this unless she was supportive, and she's not in recovery, but we've been together for like 25 years. Like, she knows me, and she was supportive of this because she's seen how I've been blocked in these various areas and the kind of negative implications of that block, like behavior patterns that spill out into our marriage and in my parenting that are so clearly connected to these patterns that I'm stuck in. And so I went to this person's house where she does it. And I had never done psychedelics before. That's not part of my history.
But the leap is is interesting because you're not going to Mexico to do it. You're going to Mexico to work with On and Elmo.
Right.
You record. Then you find out a friend of a friend is a mental health kind of person, a psychedelic practitioner.
A medical doctor, actually.
So when does the kernel form? When are you like, I'm going to go fucking trip out with this woman in Mexico?
It was a couple days before we were going to Mexico City, and this friend was like, I told this friend that I was going there, and he was like, oh, well, you should go see, this person. And I was like, I don't think so. I'm there for a different reason. But my wife was like, well, maybe you should maybe this is the right time for that. So I was thinking about it, but I wasn't committed to it. And then when I was in Mexico City, I had a phone call with her, where she kind of walked me through like what it would be like and what would happen. And I was meant to fly out the next day. And I was like, am I going to be able to travel home the next day? Is that okay? It feels very rushed. She's like, you'll be fine, and she, sort of convinced me that I would be in good hands. And so it was literally like maybe a day or two before it happened that I finally agreed to do it. So it was spontaneous in that regard.
And what did she describe?
She didn't describe the experience I was having. She wasn't trying to, prescribe anything. Like, she was just like, it'll be like a 6-hour period. And, the last 2 hours, there's like body work involved, and, I'll be there the entire time. And, this is what I do. And You'll come out of it and you'll be fine the next day. And she didn't like say this is what you're going to experience.
No, but specifically, like, what chemicals was she giving?
Oh, so it was a combination of psilocybin and MDMA.
It's amazing. And just to backtrack for a second, you were an alcoholic straight up.
Yeah.
You weren't fucking running around fucking putting LSD in your eyes and shooting heroin.
No. I was pretty pure in terms of my alcoholism. Like, I smoked pot and I did a few other things, but I was not like a full blown drug addict. Like, I wasn't like taking pills. I no needles.
Were you a coke and booze guy?
No. I never did coke because I was terrified. If I tried coke, I knew like that would be my drug, and it was just better to never try it so that I would never crave it or know what that experience was like.
Had you done mushrooms or MDMA?
No.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So you show up and tell me everything, please.
So I'm in this. She takes me into this. Basically, it's a bedroom that's appointed for this sort of thing. It's a nice room. It's got its own bathroom, and I'm looking around the room, and on the credenza across from the bed. Did I tell you this part of the story? I don't think I even told you this part. So on the credenza across from the bed, we're in Mexico City. All right. Like, I'm in a neighborhood I've never been in, like, I've never met this woman before.
How's your Spanish?
I don't speak Spanish at all.
Okay.
There are two small paintings, like on the credenza, like leaning against the wall, on black paper with they're in gold. And I'm looking at these paintings, and I called to my wife, who's in the other room. I was like, Julie, come here. She comes in. I was like, look at these paintings. And then the doctor comes in, and I look at her and I said, are these paintings by Brian O'Hara? And she goes, yeah. And I go, how the fuck do you know Brian O'Hara? Brian O'Hara is an artist who, at the time I was in Mexico City, was staying at our house taking care of our dogs.
Who is Brian O'Hara?
He is a artist who lives in Los Angeles, who's become almost like a family member. He designed the logo for Julie's Plant-Based Cheese Company. He designed the logo for my podcast.
Amazing.
He writes he creates art that is like writing that looks like hieroglyphs. That's, like, it's sort of this, it's a whole thing. It's a very unique, specific form of art that he does, but he's not well known. It's not like this is a big famous artist. And this guy is like, I'm like, he's at our house right now. How do you have his paintings in this? And so anyway, the point being,
the doctor did try to like pull him.
She's like, oh, Brian's my friend. And I was like, how do you know? Anyway, so.
Were you tripping at that point?
No, I hadn't started.
Okay.
This hadn't even started yet. But I felt like, okay, like there's some kind of synchronicity happening here. And I felt kind of more like the universe had aligned things for this to happen in some kind of mystical way. But basically I lied on the bed. I put on like an eye mask, and I started with like one psilocybin tab. It wasn't eating mushrooms. It was like, I guess that's like medical grade. I don't even know. Right. And like a low dose of MDMA. And for like 45 minutes, nothing's happening. And I'm starting, maybe I see,
so it's like a pill.
Lights,
the two of them, it's like a pill.
Yeah, or like a sublingual.
And they're together or they're not together?
Like, I took those together. And then she's like, after 45, I was like, nothing's happening. Like, I'm here for the whole deal, right? Like, but I'm not having an experience yet. And I guess going into it, I should say that my expectations, because I'd never done psychedelics, I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to have, I'm going to unlock some repressed memory, or I'm going to have a conversation with my mother, or, like I'm projecting onto it like what I think it might be. But anyway, so, I take another one. And then after another 45 minutes, like I'm seeing a little lights, but I'm not here for the Dancing Bear, Grateful Dead experience. Like, I'm here I went in with, a great deal of intention. Like, I spent a lot of time thinking about and planning, to be prepared for this experience. Like, I took it seriously as a therapy, honestly. So anyway, I took like another one, and
does she put on music?
Yeah. And so there's a whole soundtrack.
What is she playing?
Like it went up and down. Like, it was very like primal and I mean, incredibly memorable. Like no songs that you heard of that would be on your playlist, but um, that part was like super instrumental. And essentially what happened was I took just shy of essentially a hero dose, and I just
Really?
got blasted, in a way that I can't even put words to. It was like being in Interstellar and Inception at the same time. Like time and space collapsed, and
Is this
death
true?
and birth, and I'm like the whole idea of your identity dissolving and this sense of oneness. Like I had that experience in a way that I can't. It was so experiential in a way that I can't adequately describe. But I would say that it was the most profound single event experience of my life, and something I think about every day, and has been extremely therapeutic to me personally. And I say that not as an advertisement
Yeah, I
that
think you're
anybody else
giving
should
our
do it.
audience terrible
It
ideas.
was also terrifying. Like I think the MDMA piece, if I had to guess, was there to take the edge off the scary aspects of it.
Definitely.
But because of that, I kind of went even deeper than maybe I would have otherwise. And it really is a flirtation with madness. Like I had moments where I thought my entire life is a mental projection, and I'm in some padded room somewhere that I've never left before, in a really terrifying way. When and in those moments, like wondering whether I'm ever going to come back into a body. It was intense in that regard, but it was almost, you have this sensation, whether it's a fabrication of the mind or not, that you're getting a clearer glimpse of reality than what gets filtered through your senses, because it turns off certain aspects of your brain. So you're getting this, kind of like the full res version of what's actually going on around you in a way that your brain can't quite process, but gets a glimpse of. And I had been playing around with something called non-dual meditation. Do you know what this is?
Tell me.
So rather than just focusing on your breath in your meditation practice, non-dualism is this idea that essentially there is no separation. And we hear that a lot, like, oh, your sense of self is really just a
Construct.
mental construct, right? And the practice is to um, when you're meditating, to imagine that you actually have no head, and the sense that you have a head, or that you can feel your body in space, is actually just an appearance in consciousness, nothing more than that. And everything else is an illusion. So even the idea, like when you're meditating, or when you're thinking, or when we're talking to each other right now, and you're seeing me, that this is all happening inside your head, is not actually reality. That's just another appearance in consciousness, which is an incredibly difficult idea to get your head around, even though we don't have a head, right? So what I'm saying is that in this experience that I had, I was like, oh, I got that. Like I got that. And it eradicated like my fear of death in a huge way. And it just made me feel more connected to other people and to the world, less afraid, um, more forgiving. And I was able to kind of experience a level of like grace and gratitude that comes very difficult to me. Difficult, it doesn't come easy to me. Like I'm not somebody who walks around grateful naturally. I'm a crabby, fucking self-obsessed, willful motherfucker for the most part.
I have so many questions. First question is, I mean, since then, have you done it again?
I haven't done it again. I think that I'm open to that, but I didn't, obviously you're scared. The fear is like, oh, you're going to want to do it again. Yeah,
That's the real question.
Yeah, of course. I no, it was like so intense, like it didn't like activate any kind of craving in me. And it also removed, like going into it, I'm like, well, if I do this, then what does it mean when I go back into an AA meeting Do I have to reset the clock? Do I have to feel sheepish? Do I have to keep this to myself? Do I not share it? Do I share it? If I share it, are people going to judge me for it? Because I think that we craft an identity, like this is who I am. I'm this person and I have this many years. And when I go into a meeting, this is how I'm received. And this is how I would like to be perceived by other people. And having done that experience, like, I don't care. Like, it's not for me to decide. If somebody thinks that I should, that my clock gets reset or that like I'm not a good AA person or whatever, like that's up to them to decide. It's not up to me.
Did it change your relationship with 12-step? Yes, obviously.
Well, I think that, yes and no. It didn't change it in the sense that I don't think I need it. Of course I need it. Like, my primary purpose is to stay sober and help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. And that remains as
you still got it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Having like time and space collapse though, gave me a different frame into like the whole idea of like time. And I think there is something violent about this idea of time in the rooms. If you're somebody who's been sober for a long time and then you relapse, like there's a shame in that. And that I don't know is really all that helpful to people. And I think that we use it to judge ourselves and to judge other people in perhaps an unfair way that might not always be in service. I think we craft our identity around time as well. And I don't know that that's such a good idea either.
But I think that's just like another human construct. Like I'll shape my identity, how many downloads I have versus what you have.
Right.
Or how much money I have or how much this or that.
That's just another metric.
Exactly. And time, it's so cool to me because I did a lot of psychedelics when I was young and you didn't. And when you were very sober and you have this show that's deeply enmeshed in consciousness, wellness, improvement, all of these things. And you're like, I think I should try psychedelics and see how it informs my worldview. And it really did. And I love the way you talk about how self-centered and crabby and all these things. And then you see a different view through this thing and you're still into primary purpose. It's beautiful.
And, it's not like I'm enlightened. My big fear was that I would come out of it and like suddenly start wearing like Burning Man costumes and like, just like I was really afraid.
You got pretty flowy pants on right now.
I was very afraid of like what would happen if I was like, turned into, someone with Burning Man brain rot.
Are you listening to a lot of Pink Floyd now or anything?
No.
Any Grateful Dead?
No.
What are you listening to? Do you listen to music?
I'm Gen X, dude. I'm into Radiohead and R.E.M.
Is Radiohead Gen X?
Smiths.
I don't think
for
so.
me it is.
I don't think so. I love people who hate Radiohead. I like Radiohead. I used to play in a band and the drummer was certain that Radiohead was the worst band that ever was. And it's like, have you ever seen the video of Tom York like DJing and he's dancing and he's having like the best time of his life?
I don't think so.
It's amazing. I'll send it to you. So you're listening to R.E.M, Radiohead, who else? The Smiths.
Yeah. I'm you
never got into deeply
playlist. You never have to like open my playlist to let you know.
You never got into really psychedelic music.
No, never. I wasn't that guy.
I would like it if you ever go back to, I'm going to give you a little psychedelic stuff to listen to when you're doing it.
Okay.
If you ever take that trip. I'm scared. I don't do it. You know what I mean? I won't do it because I'm too scared. And I'm a drug addict and I'm a pothead and like I feel like I can feel it through you and I like what I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just celebrated 10 years last month. And maybe in another 10, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Like I
shouldn't do it then. Like I said, I don't think it's for everyone. And I have, I take great issue with the very cavalier way in which people talk about it. I'm like, whether it's microdosing or just the frequency
Ketamine.
or the very relaxed, attitude people have about like doing things like ayahuasca, like these are incredibly powerful compounds. And, if you're not, in a safe environment and you didn't go in with intent, like I could see how it could completely dysregulate somebody in a really gnarly way. And so I don't think anybody should be taking it lightly. And I think the culture would benefit, whether you're in recovery or not, uh, from a little more discourse around the seriousness of it. Like it was fucking intense, dude. And I could see how it could make somebody insane in the aftermath of it.
I love that they give you a little MDMA to cool it
Buffer.
down. Yeah, it's amazing. What was I going to ask you? I had a real question on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah, it's a deep question, and you might not want to answer it. When you talk about issues in childhood that you didn't feel like you could process and you wanted to go further, what are you alluding to?
I grew up in a household in which all my material needs were met. My parents are still married. They're very old now. I have to go down to DC. I'm trying to help them get into assisted living. Um, but at the same time, like most people, like not all my emotional needs were met. And there was a lot of expectations layered onto me. It was a very achievement oriented household. Uh, and I learned early and often that love was transactional. It was something that you had to earn. And the way that I figured out how to earn it was to go out in the world and try to distinguish myself through, whether it was like through good grades or through athletics and swimming. But never really feeling like I deserved it. And if I couldn't, achieve certain things, that I was not worthy of love. And so I've carried that my entire life, this idea of love as being a transaction. Love is something that you're not entitled to, but you have to earn. And, I have a lot of self-esteem issues around that, and a lot of issues around my drive for external validation that aren't that healthy. And then I have a mother who suffered some traumas when she was younger and never got any healing. And she's just an incredibly afraid person. And she projected all of that fear onto me and had, some boundary issues and some control issues. And that impacts like how I relate to my wife or how I interact with my children. Like in my weak moments, like I'll see myself like treating my wife as if she was my mother unfairly, of course, or parenting my kids in the way that my mom parented me, despite like doing so much work to parent them in a different and better way. And so when those things show up, they're like evidence of like unhealed wounds or things that are yet to be resolved. And despite, like I said, like decades of therapy, like it's still happening. Like maybe there's a different angle or a different way of untying this knot so that it doesn't continue to, show up in my life and trip me up unnecessarily.
And it did a bit. It did untie the knot a little bit.
Yeah, it did. And it doesn't mean that it's completely fixed. I think it's all about like how you integrate that experience into your life and, continue to work on those things. It's like sobriety, like one day at a time, right? Like you're doing great and then you're an asshole the next day, and, you do your inventory and you try to do better the next day.
Were you somebody who did a good solid 10-step, like a daily inventory?
Yeah, not every day.
I never did it. In 10 years?
I do it mentally at night, but I don't often like get out the thing and write it down.
Well, you've accomplished so much stuff. I want to stroke your ego for a second. I dropped my 7-year-old's in karate, and there's a guy, and he'll probably listen to this episode, but he has a kid in the karate class with my 7-year-old, and he's telling me how much he loves podcasts, and I'm trying to impress him because he's not impressed with me at all. And I told him I recorded at Bobby Lee's house, and he's like, "Oh, that's cool, whatever." And I was like, "Oh," and I was on the Rich Roll show, and he goes, "That's my idol." And I was like, well, he's coming to my dad's house to record. He goes, no. And he was so excited at the prospect of you coming. And so many people, I have to say, like, me having any relationship with you has given me a lot of credibility to them. So I thank you.
I'm here to be of service, Dave.
I thank you. And I don't remember. I think I knew of you through Amy Dresner, and it was in COVID. And I was like, maybe he'd come on the show because he's doing it remotely now. And I DM'd you.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, I'll do it, whatever. And we did it. It was the first time I ever used Riverside. I read your book, and we had a nice little thing.
Yeah.
And then I started hounding you. I think I begged you to go on your show, which is something that I try never to do that with anybody. I was just like, maybe I could cross the threshold here.
Yeah, that went on for years. And I know that you did a similar thing with Marin. So, and that got drawn out.
No, I think with Marin, it was to get him to come on my show. And I was too afraid to ask to go on his
But
show.
I remember listening to you when you finally went on Marin, and there was some narrative about like, you know, how like Mark finally just relented.
Well, he just likes to play that part with
But that's
me.
all I knew. I heard that. And so I was like, all right, well, I'll play the Marin part here and I'll draw this out. And then there was one instance in which I invited you to come on with Amy and you were not having it. You're like, no, I want to cut. You're like, kudos to you for throwing a boundary. Cause you're like, no, I want to come on just me.
You think kudos to me? I think I was such a dick.
Yeah, no, it was, you respected yourself.
Well, ultimately, listen,
Which made it take a little bit longer.
A long time longer. Yeah. I remember it was like you were walking around.
I was like, wow.
You were surprised. But then you're walking around the Lower East Side, and I had put up a mural. You see the mural, you're like,
I took a photo and I texted it to you.
Yeah, it's like, this is good. And I want to make a public apology to Amy because I'm a dick. I'm a dick sometimes, and I love Amy. So I just want to make.
She's great.
But when I want to tell you this, I don't know if I told you this before, but when I went to go on your show, first of all, it was probably my greatest podcast experience. And I'll tell you this, I was on the Howard Stern show, which you know, I was on This American Life, which you know, I was on Marin's show, which you know, none of it holds a candle to your fucking spot.
See, it's hard for me to hear that.
None of it even
It's hard for me to take that. Like, why? Why? You know, why? You did Marin.
I love Marin.
You did Stern. It's crazy.
But your place had like the way you have it set up. And I'm not just trying to blow smoke here, but the way you have it set up is like, it's inviting, it's respectful, it's a table where we sit. And I tried to emulate you a little bit here. I got to change a lot of stuff here though, Rich. There's I think there's a lot of problems here. But because it created a space for a conversation between two people, it was like, for lack of a woo-woo word, it was very intentional and it really works. And it feels like you're someplace very special. Marin's is in his garage. There's like an ashtray and a bunch of garbage around and guitars and shit. And that's a vibe he wants. He sits there with headphones on at his gear, no video, no nothing. Stern is like a TV show and there's lights and people all over the place. This American Life, it's like a cubicle.
Mm-hmm.
And I recorded for 12 hours there. They didn't use a minute. Your place, it's like a different frontier. And I heard you on your show talking about like this theater that you've constructed and this whole world that you've tried to create. And I think you've really done an amazing job of creating it.
I appreciate that. For me, it's all about the experience. Like, I don't want to do these on Zoom. Like, obviously during COVID, I had to do a little bit of that. But I'm in it for the relationships. And when I invite somebody on my show, it's because like I want them in my life and maybe I want to be in their life, you know, like, and so I'm trying to cultivate an experience that's memorable for the guest and, you know, establish some degree of intimacy in an environment that's conducive to, you know, emotional connection and trying to get something, you know, real and authentic and heartfelt out of, you know, every person that I sit across from. And I don't always achieve that, but that's the ambition and the goal.
And I felt like you and I had an amazing connection when I went out there. And I think that's why you agreed to do our stupid Dopey California show. And you really classed that thing up. That thing was like that thing was rolling downhill fast.
But the thing is, I get hit up to do a lot of different things, and I'm pretty, picky and judicious about what I say yes to. But stuff that's recovery oriented, like, yeah, I'm like in, and like, I love the community that you've created. I think it's really special and really, unique. It's its own world, and it's an act of service, man. Like, this is what we're doing. And I look around at what's happening in podcasting right now, podcasting 2025, and there's a lot that I don't like about it. Like, I'm so grateful that it's become this medium that is so mainstream. I mean, I started in 2012, and you were just an absolute, loser dork if you had a podcast at that time. And now it's like, you don't have to explain to anybody what it is that you do. But what I've noticed is all of these shows being reverse engineered to create viral clips. And the way that you achieve that is you get on some, lunatic contrarian or somebody with just an insane hot take, and you tee them up for that moment. And it's all about that. And, I'm not crazy about that. Like, it's kind of a drag, dude, because I'm trying to have these authentic, long form conversations that tend to meander at times, but feel like that campfire experience, so that it's nurturing to somebody who maybe feels lonely or doesn't have somebody to talk to, or doesn't have access to, certain types of information. And I just wonder, about the future of this medium, because it seems that the people that are, rising to the top don't really have like a moral anchor in what they're doing or a real why. And so I always try to stay connected to this idea that we learn in recovery, which is that it's all about service. Like, how can I serve the audience and provide them with something meaningful, authentic, that might impact their life in a positive, material way? And we're all prey to the algorithm gods, and on some level on social media, we're trying to capture people's attention. And these are commercial enterprises, and I get that, and I'm as guilty as anyone of like trying to, play that game well. But I do think that there remains like a hunger and an appetite for these real experiences. You know what I mean? Like, the pendulum is going to swing back, and people are going to realize like, oh, what's great about podcasts? You don't have to watch people, and you can bring it with you wherever you go. Like, it's all so much about video right now, and a lot of high production value. And that's fine as long as it doesn't come at a cost to the substance.
It's a crazy time though. So, it's like Marin would never fucking put anything on video.
And like, God bless him, he just was like, this is what I do, and I'm true to it. And like, if you're not into it, you can fuck off.
I think we're getting into the hot take portion of the show. Yeah. Do you have any hot takes you're ready to make right now? My hot take, I'm sitting because I want like fame. I want viral success, and I'm not close. Like, Instagram just took our page down for fucking.
I saw that
for like 5 weeks.
What happened?
They thought we were selling drugs. They thought we were selling drugs.
We got it back though.
We got it back, but
that was shortly after the Dopey Wood thing, wasn't it?
No, it was Dopey Wood, and then my family. Dopey Wood is in the beginning of June, and then in the beginning of July, my family went to on vacation to the national parks. We did Yellowstone, Teton, and Arches. And the last day of the trip, I wake up at 5 a.m. and it says, your Instagram page is gone. It was like fucking, and it was like fucking drug withdrawal. But you're here. You're not here very often. I want to talk about stuff that's going on with you. Because I could talk about me forever, obviously. You just had this crazy surgery.
Yeah.
And you're a big time writer, you're a big time podcaster, but you were like ultra athlete, high endurance athlete, and I heard you say on the show, like, am I still an athlete? Is this haunting you? You go to Japan to this track and field thing. Are you wondering who you are?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a bit of, I mean, you could say it's like an identity crisis, but it's sort of like an identity deconstruction opportunity.
Mm.
For sure. You know, for people that don't know, like throughout my 40s and into my early 50s, like I was this ultra endurance athlete and competing in all these crazy races and doing interesting things there. And I got a lot of like validation and like media coverage um, and I crafted an entire identity around that. And I'm 58 now. I'm almost 50. I turned 59 next month. And I had spinal fusion surgery 4 months ago.
Why?
Because I had this condition called spondylolisthesis that it's a long, boring story, but essentially it's a congenital defect in my spine that I'm sure I exacerbated by being very hard on my body. But it starts with like a fracture in this bone on the back of the vertebrae, in my case, L5, that leads that vertebrae to slide out of place. And it was like impinging these nerves and my spine was unstable. And I trained through it in pain for years and years and years, knowing that at some point surgery might be inevitable. But I wandered in the wilderness of every alternative therapy for, a good 10 to 15 years, hoping I could resolve it short of surgery. And that was unsuccessful. So finally I had to like bite the bullet and go under the knife. And I'd never had like a major surgery before. And it really rocked me, dude. I mean, it was a 6-hour surgery. They go in the front, they go in the back. They're like doing all kinds of fucking crazy shit and, screwing in pins and rods and stuff. And these two bones, my L5 and my S1, have to grow together. That's the fusion part. And that takes a very long time, like upwards of a year. But I haven't been able to run in like 2 years, certainly not without pain. And now I can't run, and I'm not going to be able to run for quite a bit longer. And I have a surgeon who basically, I asked him before the surgery, like, am I going to be able to run again? And he's like, well, there's some things that, maybe you just might have to retire. Like, he was not exactly optimistic about this. And, running is something that makes me feel like me. And, I'm kind of known publicly as this athlete, and it's what I enjoy doing the most. And I'm faced with the prospect of not being able to do it again. And as a public facing person, like, what does that mean about who I am? And that's sort of scary, actually. But I think, like anything, like what we learn in sobriety is that, every obstacle we face is an opportunity. And, I started my podcast because I had realized how much my life had changed by taking certain contrary actions, like getting sober, of course. Like the day I decided, like, okay, I'm getting sober, changed my life, forever, like in the most incredible way. And then at 40, like having a bit of a health scare and an existential crisis and making some really significant lifestyle changes, that changed my life in dramatic ways. So I understand like the power of contrary action to completely rejigger the trajectory of your life. And I also believe in the power we all have to make those changes. Like, I think that, we all have untapped potential within us. But having undergone like those two moments, I realized like, well, there must be some other bullshit that I'm not looking at that, I'm in denial over, or that I have a blind spot around. And the podcast has always been like a way of exploring and rooting out like those other areas. Like, let's learn about this. Let's learn about that. Like, how can I grow and change in other ways and not get stuck or craft an identity around any one of these like subcultures, right? And so here I am again, like, all right, well, where's the growth opportunity in this? Like, what happens when you have to stop everything and you can't move and you can't do the things that make you feel like you, and you have nowhere to run or hide from whatever it is that is making you emotionally or physically uncomfortable, like, well, presence and stillness. Like, as you move up the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like, what is it that I most don't want to do? It's like fucking sit still. I want to seek external validation. I want to get the views. I want people to write about me. I want to be able to create things that people like and enjoy. And, I'm as addicted as the next guy to, how the world perceives me and all of these things. Right. And amidst all of that, obviously we're, missing out on, life's most important experiences, which is, the love and the connection and the intimacy that we have with the people around us, and the extent to which we're in service to the world and the people that we love. And who wants to do that, dude? Like, I want to go out and like conquer and run and like do my shit, right? And I don't want to be bothered with it. So I think the ultimate opportunity, like it's almost like the universe knocks, right? You're out there, you're doing drugs, you're having a good time. The universe is like, maybe you get into a little trouble. The universe is like, hey, buddy, like maybe you need to look at that. Do we look at it? No, we don't. We wait until we're in fucking jail or something really bad happens. So same thing here. Like my back started hurting a long time ago. And it was like, that's the universe knocking. Like, hey, there's something here for you to look at. Like pain is something I believe that is always asking us to ask ourselves questions. When pain shows up, something is out of alignment in your life that the universe wants you to look at. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to look at that thing until like everything is fucking chaos. And same thing played out here. And now I'm forced to stop everything and have my fucking body filleted open, in order to get my attention. So the universe has my attention, and I'm trying to take advantage of this opportunity to see what it would be like if I really deepened my surrender and released my attachment to all of these worldly things, and to just allow myself to like be okay with who I am. And it goes back to that childhood shit, man. It's like, I'm not worthy. I have to earn love. Well, what if you could just be who you are? Athlete, not athlete, detached from all of these identities, and really lean into this idea that, you can love and be loved without any of those things. And that's like scary.
It is scary. Well, what's the contrary action now?
The contrary action now is to not resist it. Like, I think, a big part of me is like, all right, let's rebuild the body. And like, let's like, when's the next, put a marathon, like a year from now, sign up for the New York City Marathon. You're going to run that. And your goal is about that. And it's just about getting back to that person that you were before. So the contrary action is to not do that and to say, well, who's the person that I have yet to become? And what would happen if, I didn't do that and instead decided what would happen if like the goal isn't to like run a marathon. It's like the antithesis of that. Like, what if the goal is
Well,
to
you're going to
like,
start eating meat and something like,
he is like,
the plan?
no, but like to like go inward, you know what I mean? And like, can I find peace in stillness? Because obviously I only speak from my own experience, but like we're restless, irritable, and discontent. We cannot be still with ourselves. Like we're so uncomfortable in our own skin, even when we're sober, right? And so what would it be like if you were just truly at peace with yourself in your own skin and didn't need to distract yourself or run away from whatever, or turn to whatever thing, whether it's just scrolling on your phone or whatever, to remove yourself from having, an experience of life in the present moment.
I think that's a great thing to think about. Because I'm imagining you next year, the cover of Men's Health, Rich Roll, plant-based, 59, does it again, and you're in Hawaii.
And like, I like being fit. Maybe I'll get fit again, but like, I think the contrary action it's not necessarily like I'm giving up on these things that I love. It's the attachment to like my self-worth being contingent upon that,
on my ability to run, swim, and bike at this speed, at this distance, at this point in my life. It's very beautiful. And I really appreciate all that stuff. And I really think it's amazing how you've reinvented yourself over and over again, and how you're very like obviously competitive. And I am too, in a weird sort of way. And I've struggled with food my whole life. and I'm struggling with food right now. And I recently saw a clip of you talking about emotional eating, and so many people were like, "Ask him if he's a food addict.
Mm.
Ask him if he's a food addict." Like, do you see, is that a thing? Like, where's your take on food? And first of all, can I get fit? Let's ask that question first. Is
Of
it
course you
possible?
can get.
Is
Of
it
course, of
possible?
course you can. Of course you can. Um, of course you can get fit, dude. You know, it's just like, you know, it's taking contrary action and making a commitment. Like you can take everything that you've learned in the rooms and apply it to your fitness. It's like very, very similar, but it requires willingness. Like, you know, willingness as it applies to sobriety applies equally to like fitness or any other kind of positive habit that you're trying to adapt to. As for food, like, is it something that you could clinically define as an addiction? Like, you know, that's above my pay grade. It
Well,
doesn't matter.
You
It's
talk
like,
about emotional eating.
yeah, if you are um, prone to addictive behavior patterns, then food is just like your phone or anything else. It's a way to take you out of um, whatever you're feeling. Like it's a way of managing your emotional state. And I certainly have done that, do that from time to time. And it's very reliable, and it's pernicious because you have to eat, you know, every day. And it's easy to not even be we do it, you know, so automatically. It's easy to not be aware of, you know, how we're using it to manage manage our emotions.
And you're still plant-based?
Yeah.
And so like, what's the food thing? Like
Well,
where
now there's so many. I mean, the what happens with being vegan is that now there's so many meat and dairy analog products that they've figured out how to make tasty, and so you can essentially eat junk food all day and be like, yeah, but I'm vegan, and like delude yourself into thinking that you're being healthy because it's quote unquote plant based, and you know you might as well go to McDonald's. Like you're gonna put the weight on. And now, in the wake of I probably put on 25, maybe 30 pounds since this surgery because I can't do anything physically. Um, and so yeah, when you're like, oh, you're this fit person or whatever. Like if I took my shirt off right now, it's like it's fucking embarrassing. You know, I'm not in a great physical condition, and I will find myself like reaching out to food to self-regulate because I don't have exercise or I don't have these other things that I can, you know, do in a positive way with my body.
So what does the vegan reach out for?
Oh, I mean, you can eat coconut ice cream and French fries and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Who makes coconut ice cream?
Oh, dude.
What's
Go
the
to
go-to?
any Whole Foods or whatever. I'm not going to name brands.
Why not?
But you can eat like a lot of junky processed foods. You can eat, you know, you can eat all kinds of, you know, vegan cheeseburgers and stuff like that. And, you know, and try to convince yourself that you're eating healthy when you're not.
I feel like there's a great upside to this vulnerability though.
What do you
Like
mean?
for you to be this vulnerable and be like, dude, I'm not where I was. I'm in this spot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a growth opportunity in that, right?
What do you feel like in it? Because I get this sense of you as
I
this.
feel like yeah, it's interesting. Like a little insecure. Oh, people know me as this person. I'm not really that person right now, but who am I then if I'm not that? Or are people expecting me to, you know, look a certain way or behave a certain way? And if I can't fulfill that right now, am I going to, does that mean that they're not going to like me anymore? Or, you know, what does that mean for the future of the podcast and all that kind of stuff? Yeah. All that comes into question. So it is a vulnerable moment. And like you said at the outset, I was at the track and field world championships in Tokyo. So I was surrounded by
the fittest people in the world.
The most elite, you know, the most elite athletes on the entire planet, you know, and my, you know, face is puffy and round and my gray hairs are feeling a little more pronounced. And, you know, and so it's like, okay, what am I doing here? Like, am I in the right place? You know, so there's a lot of that.
But it's like it's the elder of the tribe at some point, isn't it?
Yeah.
The elder
I
can't.
mean, I think that yeah, yeah, you become the elder. You become the person who steps into more of like a mentor role. And I'm very aware of that, and I actually enjoy that. I get a lot more fulfillment out of quietly, mentoring people behind the scenes, which I do a lot of, and just being of service in a non AA way to all kinds of young people.
Well, service definitely doesn't have to be an AA way. It just has to be
Yeah.
useful and loving and caring.
I'm just saying not in a, in a like formal sponsor context, but just about life.
Yeah, I mean, the human body is so crazy. We're so vulnerable to damage at every moment. Our existence is only contingent on not like falling off a cliff or a piano dropping on our head or a congenital valve going one way or something sparking in your brain the other. And the miles you put on your body are almost impossible to fathom.
To me, it's normal. That's like saying it's like the amount of drugs that you've run through your system is
Right.
unfathomable.
Well, it is.
Like
It is.
yeah, and
It's a miracle that I didn't fucking die.
sober addicts and alcoholics are resilient motherfuckers.
Mm.
You know, and and I believe in my ability to heal my body and to get back to doing those things that I enjoy. I just don't. I just don't want to have an attachment to that.
So what are you doing now where running or swimming used I know you're walking.
Yeah, I mean, walking. I only started PT a couple weeks ago, and I've been traveling a lot, so I haven't even been engaged with like a practitioner. I have like little exercises that I do every day that are super mild, and other than that, like walking. And I'm still like in the early. I right now, like if I did too much, I can still fuck up the whole thing. So I'm erring on the side of less and not in a hurry. And the opportunity also is like, oh, what a cool thing to have this moment where everything has to stop and you can like reboot your operating system. And what would it look like if you had to learn how to learn your like relearn posture or just how to walk or how to run and like create like a healthy foundation upon which to build so that you can be, physically resilient for, the later years of your life. Cause like I'm turning 60 soon, dude. Like, I'm up there. And I forget that because I'm around young people most of the time, like most of the people that I work with and that I kind of surround myself with. And even in the podcast community, like they're a lot younger. And I don't know about you, but I'm like, yeah, like us. Like I just sort of think like we're the same age. And they're looking at me like you forget, or that thing where you think you look a certain way and then you look in the mirror and you're like, holy shit.
I think look a billion times worse all the time. And like when I'm with somebody, I think I'm a billion times older. I have the opposite thing.
You do.
When I went to your studio, you were like, "Wow, you're taller and look better than I expected you to look."
Did I say you look better? I definitely said you're taller.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, wow, dude, you're tall. I didn't realize you were so tall.
Dude, everybody who I meet through after they've heard me on the show, they expect me to be like 5 feet tall, nebbish, fucking Jew, like, and they're like, "Wow, you're tall." So like when you said to me, "Wow, you said you're tall and you're leaner than I expected," I was like, "Yeah, this is fucking great." But I was training to go on your show. I was dieting. I was getting it together.
Shit.
What do you think about Ozempic? Because like you have people like in the recovery space are talking about it like it's potentially a cure for addiction. And then you have people at this point, like all I get on my fucking social media feed is like weird fat guys doing yoga in a chair and it's saying it's going to get them skinny. Other people taking pills and they shit everything out in like a day and it gets them skinny. And now it's chewable Ozempic.
There's chewable.
Yeah, that's
Ozempic
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, they want me to buy it. They're dying for me to buy it.
I mean, listen, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on the internet, so don't take medical advice from me.
Mm-hmm.
But I have had some people on the show who know a little bit about this. Basically, my take is that I think there is legitimate use cases for this. Like obesity, drives so many lifestyle disease outcomes. And that's what's killing most people: heart disease, diabetes, things like this. And if you are obese and you have done your darndest to lose weight and maybe you lose it and you put it back on, or you're rubber banding and you've never been able to like figure this out, and you have earnestly, given it your best shot, then I think Ozempic is, something worthwhile to explore. I mean, obviously it's super effective. Um, but I say that with the caveat that you use the period that you're on it when you don't have crazy food cravings to adapt to new, healthier eating habits. Like if you're not craving all these foods and you can eat only smaller portions, then make those the healthier portions. Don't just go to the fast food restaurant and eat the same thing, just less of it. I think you're missing the opportunity there. And again, like I'm not an expert, but it seems to me that we're still very early in this, and we're starting to get some grasp on what the side effects are here. And I'm not sure that just going on this and staying on this for the rest of your life is probably going to work out all that well. But we also know that when you go off it, like you're back to your old self. And if you haven't learned new habits during that period of time, you're most certainly going to end up, just moving in reverse right back to where you were when you started. So I do think that for some people, it could be very helpful, because if you are able to lose that weight and keep it off, then you're in a better position to avoid getting heart disease and diabetes, and, and you can manage your blood pressure better and all of these things. So I think that's important. At the same time, if you're like 10 or 15 pounds overweight and you're going on it, like, listen, I live in LA. I know there's like a lot of people who are doing this right now. I think you're rolling the dice and gambling with your health, and you're just trying to, do that American thing, which is find the easiest, fastest, shortcut to whatever your goal is. And I don't know that that is a great idea. But I get how tempting it is. It's like, oh, I can just do this. A doctor will give it to me. I've got to go to a wedding in 6 weeks or whatever.
Dopey con right around the corner. Like, I was ready to go on Ozempic for September.
I want to look good. You're skinny though. You don't need to go on it.
Oh, stop.
I don't know much. I don't know anything about the idea that Ozempic could be beneficial for addiction though.
Oh yeah. It's like they're finding that people don't crave alcohol. People don't crave cigarettes. People don't crave drugs on it.
And then when you go off it, you just get like a crazy craving, and then you just go crazy.
Well, you see all these people who are on it lose all this weight, and they get off it and they get heavy really fast because they don't develop new habits. And I mean, what I really want to do is like fucking develop new habits. Like I really do. Like I've never had a year of fitness. Like I'm thinking I'm going to go down the street and there's one of these little gyms, like a little gym, and I'm going to pay to get coached and lift weights. And I think this year is going to be my year.
But the thing is, you have to take action, dude.
And I'm ready to do it.
Theory. So what's preventing you from? Why didn't you do it yesterday?
It was Rosh Hashanah. Today's Rosh Hashanah too.
The day before.
The day before I was doing something else.
Doing something else except it's just priorities. Like there's a desire, but you haven't been able to channel that desire into, actually taking an action. It's the same thing as somebody who's like walking around using drugs saying, I want to be sober.
Hold up. What action are you not taking that you would like to be taking?
You flip it on.
I'm flipping it. I'm flipping it because you're Rich Roll.
What action am I not taking?
Yeah. What would you like to be a little bit better at?
I would like to be more non-reactive. I would like to be, what I would like to be? I would like to be somebody for whom gratitude comes easy. And I would like to be somebody, I think the big challenge for me, Dave, is that I should be enjoying my life more than I do.
That's a really fascinating thing to say.
Because I have everything, dude. My life is so far beyond like my wildest imagination of what it could be. And it's just insane that I walk around grumpy and like kicking rocks and like pissed off about some bullshit. So, the contrary action for me is like finding joy and happiness in my daily life. And not getting caught up in, I gotta this, and I got all these emails, and I gotta do this thing, just like being burdened and overwhelmed and like generally exhausted by the life that I created that is
so beautiful,
more than anything I ever, wanted.
And the joy you give so many people. So what are some little things you really like?
About
just in general, just what are some things you like? Radiohead, fucking R.E.M.
I like, you know what I like? Guilty. You want like guilty pleasure type shit?
Anything.
I like dadcore TV.
What is that?
Like anything that is CIA, Mossad, MI5 or MI6 oriented. Like I'm in.
Like you could have been a great secret agent.
Like I just like watching movies and television about it.
Okay, what
like
else?
Any show that has that, I will watch it. So that's one thing I like.
Like what's a good one?
There's anything like John le Carré, like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, but there's a great French television series called Le Bureau that they just developed for in an English language version called The Agency, starring Michael Fassbender. Like shit like that. I love it. Secret agent stuff.
You could have been a great secret agent.
Yeah.
I could see it.
No.
You traveling for On Running, but really you're doing espionage. You're doing podcasts, but really there's espionage afoot.
Who would know? How do you know I'm not doing that?
Well, you wouldn't be here, I don't think. Maybe you're finding the undercover middle class Jewish life.
I'm doing in New York?
Right? That's very exciting. It's like that, what was the Gong Show movie with what's his face?
Right, exactly.
I love that. Yeah. That's fucking fun. Sacred mornings ritual. What's up with your sacred mornings?
What do you mean?
Your morning time is your sacred creative time. Is this true?
It is true.
What happened?
Where did you get that note? Where did you dig that up from?
I listened to you. I listened to you about your sacred mornings, and you were doing some exercise. And now I know there's a secret project that we can't divulge, a certain piece of writing that you're working on that we can't really talk about. But what is the sacred morning like?
You're so fucking crazy, dude.
What? We were on the phone and you mentioned the book and I said, "Oh, what is it?" And you said, "I can't tell you that." We're just on the phone.
I don't believe in talking about things before they're done. You know what I mean? Then you feel like you've accomplished something.
Tell me
when you
about
haven't.
it.
So I just take that off the table. Listen, I'm like a morning person. That's when my energy is at its best. And so I try not to squander that. Like I kind of try to treat it as sacred. I have this tension though, like right now, all I can do is walk like physically because I like to exercise in the morning, but it's also like, that's when I feel like I'm at my peak creative powers. So it's like writing, working out. I can't do both. If I work out, then I'm like, come back and then I'm too tired to do the creative thing, but if you do the creative thing, that's like forever and you can like work out late, So anyway, I try to be intentional about my mornings, and that doesn't mean that I adhere to some kind of like crazy strict regimen or anything like that. But I just try not to schedule anything in the morning, like phone calls or meetings. I don't check my email in the morning. So it's just meditation and then physical exercise and creativity.
How did you learn how to write?
I always wrote. Like I always liked writing papers in high school and then through college, and law school teaches you how to write. It teaches you how to write clearly and form an argument and then support it. So as a lawyer, like I was writing constantly. And then the creative writing was something I always kind of did, but never really developed or pursued. But then, I kind of started blogging like in the early internet days. And then when I had the opportunity to write this book and, that came about in like 2010, that was my formal introduction to, doing it professionally.
That's awesome. I so want to write, and I liked writing papers, and I wrote a little blog about waiting tables at Katz's for a minute. And, it's just a matter of actually doing it. because
Yeah.
I like telling people about ideas, so I almost have done them.
Yeah, see, this is the exact point
the
I was
opposite.
making
It's the
about like
opposite.
not talking about the book. You know, it's I just don't talk about like creative projects because there's like a weird mind trick
Because it's as though you've done it.
You think you're doing it when you're not. You're just talking about it. And I just had this came up on my show recently because I had Jay Duplass on, the filmmaker.
Sure.
You know, this movie, The Baltimoreans, like him and Michael Strassner came on. And Jay was talking about how in Hollywood, there are people that talk about making movies, and then there are people that make movies. And, you know, in New York, I'm sure you see the same thing. Like people are constantly talking about the project that they're working on, but that never seems to ever get done. And so that's also like being around that. It's like, I'm just going to be the guy who doesn't talk about it and just does it.
Yeah, I mean, like for some miracle, like Dopey managed to be 550 something episodes in, and I never stopped doing it. And I have people coming up to me telling me about their idea for a podcast, and I'm just like, give me a fucking break. Just go fucking record a podcast. It's not a thing.
You could do you have a great book in you. I think there's a couple of books that you could write. I could see like an incredible coffee table Dopey book.
I know, me too.
Especially with all the art
yeah.
and, you know, like the contributory art from your audience, like just watching the slides from the Dopey Wood event. Like there's a lot of cool creativity in there. You could almost create like some like punk rock Toshin type Dopey coffee table, like giant book.
And like
you know
100 people would buy it.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah, it'd be amazing.
But it would be sick.
I agree. I mean, every piece of art here, Dopey Nation made. Like, do you see that thing that's laser cut, fucking Buddha, Dopey?
I mean,
I didn't make that. Somebody sent it.
This is crazy shit, dude.
I know.
It's
How about
like,
look at the Big Bird?
My audience doesn't do stuff like
Look,
this.
look at it. It's Dopey Nation, fucking Toodles instead of
How do you even do that?
You know, the guy who did that is a friend of mine. He's a police officer, and he did that. He also, you know, remember the band House of Pain?
Yeah.
The guy who did this is in some weird club with Danny Boy from House of Pain, where they go to movie locations and reenact the thing in photography. He just made it.
Wow.
He also made this. This was one of our audience members. He was a quadriplegic. He called himself Hot Wheels, and he couldn't stop using, and he died. So he made this memorial Hot Wheels car.
Wow.
And that was another woman who died. She was a contributor to the show and a fan of the show. And he made all that stuff, and then a fan made this, and then a fan made that. Whatever. It's like, I love that shit, and I want to do. I have a bunch of ideas for books, but let's stay with you. You want to do our game before we finish?
Sure.
It's a very simple game. It's this or that. I'm going to say two things, and you're going to choose.
Do you remember what I told you about Dopey Wood?
You didn't like the game.
Yeah, you got to ditch the game.
We're going to do the game at DopeyCon again.
Of course.
But listen,
you're not going to listen.
I listen. At Dopey Wood, there were technical problems. I was not technically supported.
That wasn't the issue.
I'm listening.
You're trying to jam too many things into it. Like,
I know.
And I think it's out of insecurity. Like you think like you need all that stuff or people are going to be unsatisfied.
Yes.
And I am telling you to just have a little trust and confidence in just getting up there and being a little bit looser with it. You don't have to have all the bells and whistles, and you don't have to overpack it with like too many panels, and allow the segments that you have to breathe a little bit.
I know.
You know, and you're like, we have to do the game or what is like the game. Like no one cares about the game.
Listen, the game inserts laughter and fun and looseness. At Dopeywood, we're just going to explore this for a second. I told you my childhood friend was the stage manager, right?
Mm-hmm.
He shows up fucking high, stinking of weed, and leaves 20 minutes in, fucking abandoned ship. He has his students being the timer for the game. So Bob Forrest was the first contestant on the game, and they gave him triple time. Me being OCD stupid, I gave everybody triple time past that. So you have to imagine the game where everyone gets a minute and not 3 minutes. It's very exciting.
If you want to do a game in a live event, like just do it once, but you kept like going back to it.
We're
like,
doing
it's
it.
like,
I know
it's
we're
like,
doing
come
it,
on, bro.
We're
like,
doing it again too. And you've made the decision not to attend DopeyCon. But where are you going to be instead of at DopeyCon?
When is it?
It's October 4th. You're traveling. You're in
go.
Texas.
I have a thing back in Los Angeles.
You're sure, 100%.
I committed to another event,
A better event.
Forever ago. I did.
I'm just playing.
So
okay. We're gonna play this game anyway.
Right.
Okay. I'm gonna say two things, and you're gonna pick a thing. All right. Biking or swimming.
Swimming.
Ayahuasca or ibogaine.
I haven't done
Just
either
pick.
of those. I don't know.
You gotta pick.
Ibogaine.
Really, ibogaine. Interesting. Simone Biles or Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps.
Ellen Langer or Jim Murphy.
Ooh.
Yes.
Why do you have to do that to me?
That's the game.
I'm gonna give it to Ellen Langer because she's been around, dude. She earned it. She's a fucking icon.
Mick Jagger or Keith Richards.
Mick Jagger.
Okay. Lance Armstrong or Barry Bonds.
Lance Armstrong.
Mel Robbins or Glennon Doyle. Don't be shy. Come on.
I'm going to say Mel Robbins because she's my friend and I know her. And I love Glennon Doyle, but I've never met her.
Not yet.
Not yet.
She's on the radar. Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn.
Theo Vaughn.
Charlie Kirk or Donald Trump.
Fucking dumbest thing.
Why? It's great.
Charlie Kirk.
Patrick Stewart or William Shatner.
Patrick Stewart.
Fish or the Grateful Dead.
Fish.
Psilocybin or MDMA. Why do you think this game is stupid? You're having the time of your life. Why don't you like it?
Psilocybin.
James Frey or Charles Bukowski?
James Fry.
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 He's being honored at DopeyCon.
Oh, he is?
He is.
He's showing up?
Supposedly.
Oh, cool.
He's getting the Dopey
Hall of Fame award or something?
Well, I have an award called the Dopey Medal of Freedom that I give to Brandon Novak every year. And Novak's like, you're going to give it to me again? And I was like, yeah. So I'm giving, so we're giving, now we were renaming the award, the Brandon Novak Dopey Medal of Freedom, and he's bestowing it to James Fry.
Oh, that's cool.
Beatles or the Stones?
Beatles.
John or Paul?
John.
I think we're done. Oh, vax or not vax?
Oh, dude.
Vax or anti-vax?
Vax.
Fish or Grateful Dead?
You already asked me that one.
I did. Who'd you pick?
Yeah, Fish.
You did?
Yeah.
Really? Jerry or Trey?
Trey.
Radiohead or R.E.M?
Radiohead.
Morrissey or Johnny Marr?
Ooh. Johnny Marr.
Of course. I don't think Morrissey likes Pakistanis.
Yeah.
We went to see Eric Clapton the other night.
Uh-huh.
It was amazing. Me and my wife went to see Eric Clapton. And all this fucking rumor that he hates Pakistanis. I don't think it's true. I think he likes Pakistanis. I think he was drunk. He said negative things.
It's weird when the aging like British rock star turns nationalist.
But did he turn nationalist late in life?
I don't know. I don't know about Eric Clapton. Wasn't that? But it is a thing with a couple of these other guys, isn't it?
Well, there's a lot of political thought in the aging rock world. Did you have a good time?
I did, man.
Will you come back sometime? I love you too. It was great. You were fucking fantastic.
I'm not like, so I'm insecure about not being funny because this is a podcast where you have to come on and
I think you were funny.
Be funny.
You had fun. We had a good time.
I had fun.
I don't think I'm that funny.
All right. You're pretty good.
I do my best.
You're also really tall.
Very lean, very handsome. Thank you. Thank you, Rich Roll. It's awesome.